Hello, I'm Val. This is my bookcase. For those of you who have seen bookcase videos in the past, first off, thank you so much for coming back and watching another bookcase video, well, dissertation diary update, which I, in my head, called bookcase videos. And you're welcome to call them that too. For those of you who are new, hello. Thank you so much for clicking on this, even though this doesn't look at all like a cover channel. Typically what I do is one-woman band covers of songs that I really love to sing, especially at karaoke. I have not been to a karaoke bar since February of 2020, which makes me very sad because I miss it very much. Anyway, I am a fourth-year doctoral candidate in the history department at Princeton University. I'm currently writing my dissertation on poverty in the early medieval West, which is basically what is now Western Europe, like that geographic region, but looking at it between roughly the years 500 to 1000. And that's what I do when I'm not playing a bunch of instruments. Honestly, I play the instruments because if all I did was dissertation work, it's gonna go from, frustration to The Shining, like real fast. So what I do is music a lot, but also lots of researching, translating, writing, etc. So what I like to do once a month is post dissertation updates, just to let you guys know where I am. It's a way of holding myself accountable, and it's also a way to keep a record for myself, like, how did my dissertation writing go? So I'm on chapter 2 right now, and the draft is currently due at the end of the month. I actually asked my advisor a week or two ago. I said, I could send you an outline, we could talk about it, and then I can get to work on the chapter, or I can just send you a chapter at the end of the month. And he said, end of the month chapter. And I was like, okay, cool. Personally, between you and me, my outlines only make sense to me. So sending them to other people is typically doesn't end well. It comes off as seeming unprepared when really it's like, well, I know what that bullet point means, but I didn't type it out fully because I figured I didn't have to explain to myself, but also I should have typed it out because I'm sharing it with you. So my advisor knows me well enough to know, don't read the outline, just wait for the chapter. So I'm working on that. It's due at the end of the month. I'm also TAing a course right now. The grades for that are due on Wednesday, and I'm filming this on Monday. So I want to get those grades in as quickly as possible. I spent the whole weekend grading final exams, so I know what all the grades are. I just have to put them into the system, and that's going to be my evening. It's going to be very exciting. So what I like to do after I provide an update is kind of just give like a big idea or a main idea for this video, and then wrap it up with some Q&A. So today, the big idea is, what does a grad student actually do? Especially like a doctoral student. What do we do? Because it can be very vague. So I thought I would just give a whole rundown of like, what is the program? And by that I mean the program I'm in, because depending on what you study and where you are, program requirements, the duration of the program, there's a huge diversity of workload out there. So for history, specifically at Princeton, what you do is the first 2 years are devoted to coursework. You are a student. That's basically where they make sure, okay, they've taken, this many seminars, they passed their language proficiency exam. So I had to pass exams in reading for Latin, French, and German, because those are the languages you need to study the Middle Ages. Latin you need because, for me, all my primary sources are written in Latin. And then French and German, modern French and German, a lot of scholarship is written in French and German. So really, if you're writing about any topic, you need to be able to read what other scholars have written, and you can't depend on someone translating all of it. before you can finish your second year, you need to have passed your language proficiency exams. And these vary depending on what you study. So if you are doing like East Asian history, you need to most likely pass exams in Chinese, Korean, Japanese. So that's the first 2 years. And then once you finish your coursework, you take your general exams where you have 3 fields. So for me, my fields were early medieval Western Europe, the high medieval Western Europe, and the late antique East. So the high Middle Ages is often what you think of with like, oh, jousting and, very long epic Arthurian romances and the birth of the university, etc. And for the late antique East, it's more like, you think of Byzantium or like the Eastern Roman Empire. And that required a week-long written exam where I basically had to answer 7 or 8 essay questions. Like, basically it was this written exam that totaled up to 12,000 words. And that is traffic you hear outside because I live on a very busy street. So it was a 12,000 word written exam. I had it was a Monday at 9 a.m. until that Friday at 3 p.m. to hand it in. So that was the most maddening week of writing in my life. And then after that, about a week or a week and a half later, I had a 2-hour oral exam where I defended what I wrote down in the 12,000 word written exam. So that was awesome. And so after that, about 2 months later, you have to hand in a draft of your prospectus, which is basically your proposal for your dissertation. And it's not binding. So like if you hand in a prospectus that says, I want to study the history of the potato, and you explain why, it's just like a 10 to 20 page document. If while you're writing your dissertation, you think, you know what, I want to study parsnips as well and turnips, then you can do that. No one's going to be like, but you said potato. No, that's not a thing. And then after the prospectus, you get the green light from your advisor and one other professor who is going to be part of your dissertation committee, 4 professors, 3 of them in your university and 1 external. See, basically 2 members of the dissertation committee essentially sign off like, yes, go ahead. And then from basically the late fall semester of your 3rd year up until whenever, preferably your 6th or 7th year, you are writing, you are researching, you are just doing all the dissertation things. Meanwhile, you're also teaching. In my case, I'm just wrapping up a course now. You're teaching, you're going to conferences to present whatever research you have. And that way you can talk to other medievalists who will tell you, hey, have you thought about this angle? Or I see you're looking at this source. Have you read this article by so-and-so? Basically getting feedback from people who know about parts of your topic, but not like your whole topic, but who know ways to nudge you or ask you questions or like just get clarification. And it's great for the writing process because the more people who you tell your ideas to, the more people you present your research to, the better, because then you'll get feedback, then you can include the feedback. So that's part of why writing a dissertation just takes so dang long. You're trying to get research published. Academia is very publish or perish, which is, I hate that publish or perish is like that. That's the hashtag. It's just accepted that is the way of life, which is kind of terrifying, but this is what we signed up for. So you write your dissertation. It's however many chapters it needs to be. There's no set amount. And I think in my program, you need to gain special permission if your dissertation goes over 300 something words. I'm forgetting what the exact upper bound is. I know I'm not gonna hit that upper bound. Once it's done, you turn in the dissertation, you defend the dissertation, and then if you have a successful defense, you get your PhD, and then people can call you Dr. Val. Or, you know, doctor, insert your name here. The TLDR, too long, didn't listen, instead of didn't read. Basically, number 1, you have coursework for 2 years. Number 2, you have your general exams. Number 3, you have your prospectus you turn in. Number 4, you write the darn thing. And number 5, you defend the darn thing. And that's the thing. Q&A time! And I had 2 questions. Thank you to the lovely people who asked. So the first question is basically asking what languages I know, which I would just go back to the languages I needed to know for my program. I don't know any other languages. I know how to read Latin, French, and German. I can kind of sort of speak and communicate in French and German-ish. I am, as you can tell, fluent in English. Someday I will learn Chinese. Someday. Moving on to the second question. I was asked when people asked me when I was about 4 years old what I wanted to be when I grew up. I probably said something I thought was really cool. So firefighter probably, just because I just, you know, a lot of respect for firemen. A lot of respect. Keep us safe. The first job I ever felt like passionately about, when I was 8 years old, I wanted to own a bakery. And then as I grew up, I learned that to run a bakery successfully, you need to wake up at about the same time when I was already going to sleep. So I thought, ooh, that's not gonna work. And then I wanted to be a lawyer for some time, but I had really started falling in love with history in high school. My AP European history teacher was just incredible, and I learned a ton. I looked forward to that class every day. And this was a class that was at like 9 in the morning, and I look forward to it constantly. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to go to AP Euro. And then when I got to college, the first course I took was a survey course on medieval Europe. I fell in love with the Middle Ages, and I continued to fall in love with it all throughout college. And that was when I thought, you know what, maybe I should just like try to get a PhD in this. And here I am. If you guys have any questions about anything, and I mean just, you know, could be about grad school things, it could be about my area of research specifically, although not too specifically, because I've been cautioned not to share my unpublished research on the internet just in case. But happy to talk about some of that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, should be a cover next week. Stay safe, sending virtual hugs, and thank you so much for watching.